The sun was low over the ruined battlefield, casting long, eerie shadows across the cracked ground. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by the distant cries of birds that had somehow survived the endless wars. Scattered across the field were broken weapons, shattered shields, and the remnants of warriors who had fallen long ago. The planet, once proud with life, now bore the scars of centuries of conflict, and no living thing dared to linger for long. A group of soldiers moved cautiously through the debris, their boots crunching on dry soil and broken metal. They were human, part of a small expedition sent to explore the outer regions of the planet, seeking resources and relics left by their ancestors. Among them was Captain Rena, the leader of the squad, whose sharp eyes missed nothing. Her hand rested lightly on the grip of her plasma rifle, ready for any danger that might spring from the shadows. "Captain," said one of the soldiers, a young man named Joran, his voice trembling slightly. "Look at that. Over there." Rena followed his gaze and froze. Resting atop a small mound of dirt and debris was something unusual. A suit of blackened armor, perfectly intact despite the devastation around it. Its surface was etched with strange, intricate patterns that seemed to shimmer faintly in the dying sunlight. The armor looked alive in a way that made the hairs on the back of Rena's neck stand on end. "I've heard stories," whispered another soldier, Mara, her voice low and cautious. 40 warriors tried to wear that armor, and all of them died. Some say it's cursed. Others say it's something more. No one has survived it. Rena stepped closer, her boots crunching softly against the broken ground. "Stories," she said, trying to steady her voice. "Legends told to scare children. It's just armor, cold dead metal, nothing more." But even as she said it, she felt a strange pull in her chest, a sense of being drawn toward it, as if the armor was calling to her. The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances, but none dared to move closer. The air around the armor seemed to hum with energy, faint and almost imperceptible, yet unmistakable. The patterns on its surface shifted subtly, catching the light in ways that made it look as though it was breathing. From the shadows of the ruined buildings nearby, a lone figure emerged. His movements were deliberate, calm, and commanding. Even in the chaos of this war-torn planet, his presence seemed to demand attention. The soldiers instinctively stepped back. "Commander Kyle," Rena breathed, recognizing the man. He was a legend among humans, a hero thought lost in the previous war. Stories of his bravery, strategy, and unwavering courage had reached even the farthest colonies. Yet here he was, alive, standing among them like a ghost from history. Kyle's eyes were drawn to the armor immediately. Unlike the others, he felt no fear. Only recognition. A strange warmth coursed through him, as if the armor had been waiting for him all this time. He approached it slowly, his every step measured and calm. "This armor," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "I remember it. I remember it well." The soldiers stared at him in disbelief. "Commander?" Rena said carefully. You know it." Kale did not answer immediately. He reached out a hand, hovering just above the surface of the armor. A faint whisper tickled the edge of his mind, soft and inviting. "My lord, you've returned." His hand trembled slightly, though not with fear. It was anticipation, a recognition older than memory. "It's a calling," he said quietly, almost to himself. "I think it has been waiting for me." The whispers grew louder in his mind, forming words he could understand. "Return, my lord. The time has come." Rena took a cautious step forward. "Commander, please be careful. You know the stories. 40 warriors, all dead. It could..." Kyle smiled faintly, shaking his head. "They were not ready. They lacked the courage. The armor. It chooses its master, and it has chosen me." With that, he bent slightly and began to lift the armor from the mound. It moved easily in his hands as if recognizing him. Its weight was immense yet perfectly balanced, and as he began to don it, the whispers intensified. They were no longer mere words, they were a symphony of voices, each echoing the memories of the 40 warriors who had tried and failed before him. Kale's mind filled with images. Warriors falling in battle, their strength and skill no match for the armor's demands. He saw the pain and frustration of their last moments, and he understood something profound. The armor was not cursed. It was a guardian, a test. Only one with true courage, unwavering resolve, and respect for its power could survive. As the armor settled over his shoulders, Kale felt the first surge of energy. His body tingled, muscles sharpening, senses heightening. The whispers became clearer, guiding him, teaching him, connecting him to the memories of the fallen warriors. He saw battles he had never fought, strategies he had never devised, and the strength of a legacy far older than any human memory. Rena and the others watched in awe. Even with the stories in mind, nothing could have prepared them for this. The blackened armor glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with Kyle's heartbeat. It was alive, and it was welcoming him as its master. Suddenly, a faint vibration ran through the ground. At first it was subtle, barely noticeable. Then it grew, a low hum that resonated through the ruins, echoing off broken walls and shattered columns. The soldiers exchanged worried glances. "What is that?" Joran asked, fear creeping into his voice. Kale's eyes narrowed. "It is the call of the world itself," he said. "The armor is awakening, and with it something else stirs." Mara stepped closer, her hand gripping the edge of her rifle. "Commander, we should leave now. This place, it's not safe." Kale shook his head. "We cannot run. Whatever comes, we face it. This armor, this power, it is not just for me. It is for all of humanity." As he spoke, the sky above darkened. Clouds swirled unnaturally, moving against the wind. A strange energy crackled in the air, and the soldiers could feel it in their bones. The whispers from the armor grew louder, more insistent. "Prepare, my lord. They will come." A sudden movement caught their eyes. Far on the horizon, dark shapes descended, sleek and alien, their forms unlike anything human. These were the scouts of a powerful alien force, drawn by the awakening of the armor's energy. The stories of the past had not been lies. This armor had always been a key, a weapon and a beacon waiting for the right person to wield it. Kale stood tall, fully encased in the blackened armor. The whispers continued, steady now, guiding his every thought. "We do not run," he said firmly, his voice carrying over the wind. "We fight, and humanity will not fall while I stand." The soldiers nodded, their fear replaced with determination. They had faced horrors before, but nothing like this. With Kale leading them, armored in a legend reborn, they felt a spark of hope, a reminder that humanity's courage could rise even in the darkest times. The aliens were approaching, their ships glinting in the fading light. Kale raised a hand and the armor responded, glowing brighter, humming with energy. The whispers spoke once more, this time almost a command. "Rise, my lord. Show them the strength of humanity." And with that, the battlefield, once silent and desolate, became alive with the pulse of war and the promise of legend. Humanity's greatest hero had returned, and the cursed armor that had ended 40 lives was now the key to saving countless more. As the first alien scouts landed, Kale's eyes burned with determination. He was no longer just a man. He was the master of the armor, the inheritor of centuries of courage and the spark that would ignite humanity's stand against the darkness. The whispers softened, almost content now. "My lord, you have returned, and this time, you will not fail." The battlefield was alive with tension. The alien scouts moved swiftly, their shapes strange and unfamiliar, like shadows with sharp edges. Their weapons glinted as they prepared to attack, and the air itself seemed charged with danger. The human soldiers tightened their grips on rifles and plasma guns, but all eyes were on Commander Kale, standing tall in the blackened armor that shimmered faintly under the dim sky. Kale could feel the armor's power coursing through him. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Every movement, every breath seemed amplified. His vision sharpened. He could see the tiniest details, the slight tremor in a scout's step, the flicker of energy in their weapons. The whispers of the armor guided him, speaking in a language that was both ancient and familiar, giving him knowledge he had never learned and memories he had never lived. "They're fast," Joran said, his voice tight with fear. "We can't outrun them." Kyle shook his head. "We don't need to run. Watch and learn." His voice carried authority, calm yet commanding. The soldiers instinctively obeyed, moving into positions behind crumbled walls and broken structures, trusting him implicitly. The alien scouts charged. Their weapons fired strange beams of light, scorching the ground and sending sparks into the air. Kyle moved, almost as if guided by instinct. The armor responded to him, enhancing his reflexes. He leaped over debris, deflected a beam with the edge of his armored arm, and retaliated with a pulse of energy from the armor itself. The scouts recoiled, surprised by the human's sudden power, The whispers inside the armor grew louder, offering tactical advice. Left flank. Use momentum. Shield now. Each suggestion felt natural, as if the armor was an extension of Kale's own body. He followed its guidance, moving with speed and precision that left the scouts struggling to keep up. You're incredible, Mara shouted, watching Kale strike down an alien scout with a single blow. His movements were a blur, yet each strike was calculated, each decision perfect. Kale's mind, however, was not entirely his own. The memories of the 40 warriors who had failed before him flashed intermittently. He saw their mistakes, their moments of hesitation, and the consequences that followed. The armor was teaching him, warning him, and reminding him that power without control could destroy even the strongest warrior. As the last scout fell, a strange energy pulse erupted from the ground. Kale felt it through the armor, an ancient signal, a beacon. He knew immediately that this was not just a skirmish. Something greater was awakening. "Commander," Rena said, her voice tight. "What is it?" "What's happening?" Kale looked around, scanning the horizon. The armor. It senses the source. Something powerful, something dangerous, is approaching. We are not alone. From the clouds above, massive ships descended, unlike any technology the humans had seen before. They moved silently but with precision, their hulls glinting in the faint light. The armor hummed louder, reacting to their presence, and the whispers became urgent. "Prepare, my lord." "They remember." "They have waited." Kale turned to his soldiers. "This is only the beginning. Stay close, follow my lead. The armor will guide us." The soldiers nodded, their fear tempered by trust. They had seen what Kale could do, and now they believed in something greater than themselves, a force that could turn the tide of any battle. As the alien ships landed, massive figures emerged, towering over the soldiers. Their armor was sleek, and their eyes glowed with intelligence and malice. Kale's heart did not race with fear, but with focus. The armor thrummed with power, and he could feel a connection forming. A bridge between human and ancient technology, a fusion of mind and metal. Kyle moved forward, stepping into the open despite the danger. The aliens hesitated, as if recognizing the blackened armor and the aura of power surrounding him. His voice rang out strong and clear. "I am Kale, and I stand for humanity. Retreat is not an option. You will not break us," the aliens advanced. Kyle's movements were precise, almost preternatural. He deflected energy blasts, dodged strikes, and countered with waves of force from the armor itself. Each action was guided by the whispers, each decision a combination of human intuition and ancient knowledge. He felt the armor responding to his thoughts, reading his intentions before he acted. "Strike now. Shield next. Anticipate." The coordination was perfect, almost as if the armor and Kale shared a single mind. The battle raged on, but Kale began to understand the armor's full potential. It was not merely a suit of protection, it enhanced strength, speed, and perception. It could interface with alien technology, disable weapons, and create energy shields strong enough to withstand even the deadliest attacks. But it also demanded respect. Each use of power left Kale drained, reminding him that the armor was not a tool for recklessness. In a moment of pause, Kale observed the aliens regrouping. They were intelligent, calculating, and dangerous. He knew that defeating them would require more than brute force. It would require strategy, courage, and the full use of the armor's capabilities. The whispers softened, as if approving his understanding. "You are learning, my lord. The past has taught us, and now you will guide us." Kale's mind reached out through the armor, sensing patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. He moved swiftly, leading his soldiers through the battlefield with a confidence that inspired them. Each action was precise, each decision correct, and slowly the tide began to turn. The alien forces, once confident, began to falter. The armor anticipated their movements, countered their attacks, and amplified Kale's leadership. The soldiers followed his lead with renewed courage, inspired by the fusion of human will and ancient power. In the heat of battle, Kyle realized the truth. The armor was not cursed. It was a guardian, a teacher, and a weapon designed to protect humanity in its darkest hours. The 40 warriors who had failed before him had not been chosen. They lacked the courage, the clarity, or the resolve to master its power. But Kale was ready. As the final alien scout fell, the battlefield fell silent once more. The soldiers looked around, panting and exhausted but victorious. Kale stood tall, his armor glowing faintly as it pulsed with energy. He had survived the first test, but he knew this was only the beginning. Rena approached him cautiously. "Commander, what was that? How did you—" Kale shook his head, still absorbing the flood of knowledge and energy. "It is not just me," he said quietly. "The armor. It guides, it teaches. It is alive in a way we cannot fully understand, but it has chosen me to protect humanity, to fight when we cannot fight alone." Mara stepped closer, her eyes wide. Do you think it will help us win? Against them?" Kyle looked at the horizon, where more alien ships might be waiting. "It will help us survive," he said firmly. "And surviving is the first step toward winning. Humanity has always risen in the darkest hours. This armor, this power, is just the next chapter." The whispers within the armor quieted almost in satisfaction. "You are ready, my lord. The path is ahead, and you will walk it with courage." Kale felt a calm determination settle over him. He knew that the battles ahead would test him in ways he had never imagined. The alien forces were powerful, intelligent, and relentless, but humanity had something they did not: courage, adaptability, and the will to endure. As the soldiers regrouped and tended to their wounded, Kale allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. He had been chosen, not because of strength alone, but because of heart, mind, and courage. The armor had waited for someone who could understand its purpose, someone who could lead humanity when it mattered most. From the ruins, the wind carried the faint sound of whispers. Not threatening this time, but guiding. "Rise, my lord. The true test awaits." Kale straightened, feeling the full weight of responsibility and the power now at his command. The alien threat was only the beginning. Greater challenges loomed, challenges that would test not just his strength, but humanity's potential, the whispers, the memories, the power of the armor, all of it merged into a single truth. Humanity was capable of greatness, even in the face of impossible odds. And with the armor at his side, Kale would ensure that humanity did not just survive, it would rise, stronger than ever before. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the battlefield in gold and shadow, Kale looked to the future. He knew the war was far from over, but for the first time in generations, humanity had hope. And hope, he knew, could be more powerful than any weapon. With a final glance at his soldiers, Kale whispered, "Prepare yourselves. The awakening has begun, and we will meet what comes with courage. Humanity will not fall. Not today, not ever." The armor pulsed softly in response, almost as if it were alive and approving. "Together, my lord, we will rise." The first battle was won, but the true journey had just begun. The morning light broke over the ruined city, casting long shadows across broken buildings and streets filled with debris. Smoke rose from distant fires, remnants of the previous skirmish. Commander Kale stood at the top of a crumbled tower, his blackened armor gleaming faintly in the early sun. The whispers of the armor hummed in his mind, guiding him, teaching him, connecting him to knowledge older than humanity itself. Around him, his soldiers prepared for what was coming. The previous day's battle had been only a warning. The alien scouts were not the full force. They had only been testing, probing, and learning. Kale knew the aliens would return with reinforcements, far larger and more dangerous than before. Yet his presence inspired the humans around him. He was not only their commander, he was a symbol, a living legend, the master of a power that could turn the tide of war. Rena approached, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Commander, what are we facing?" she asked, tension in her voice. Kale turned to her, his expression calm, resolute. "Their main force is coming. Hundreds, maybe thousands. But we are not powerless. The armor, it will guide us. We just need to stay sharp, trust in each other and in ourselves." Joran shifted nervously, glancing at the blackened armor. "Sir, that thing, it's more than armor. I can feel it. It's alive," Kyle nodded. "Yes, it is alive, but it does not fight for itself. It fights for humanity, and now it fights through me." The ground trembled beneath their feet. Far on the horizon, alien ships emerged, glinting under the sun. They moved with precision, coordinated like a single mind. From the ships, towering alien warriors began to descend, each one armed with energy weapons that pulsed with a strange, almost organic light. Their armor was sleek, advanced, and deadly, designed to crush anything that stood against them. Kyle's armor pulsed in response, sensing the threat. The whispers inside his mind were urgent now. They are strong, my lord. They are clever, but we are ready. Trust in yourself and trust in them. The soldiers took their positions. They were exhausted, but the sight of Kale standing at the forefront, glowing with the power of the armor, gave them courage. Even fear seemed smaller in his presence. The aliens advanced with terrifying speed. Energy beams cut through the air, destroying walls and scattering debris. Kyle moved first, leaping down from the tower with precision and grace. The armor amplified his strength and speed, allowing him to dodge energy blasts effortlessly. He struck with a powerful swing of his armored arm, sending an alien warrior flying backward. Sparks erupted as the armor's energy shield deflected another beam. The whispers guided him. Move left. Anticipate their pattern. Now strike. He followed, weaving through the battlefield, each motion perfect, each strike calculated. The humans followed his lead, their morale soaring as they witnessed feats beyond ordinary human ability. Rena fired her plasma rifle, taking down alien soldiers with precision. Mara moved alongside Kale, covering his flank. Joran, inspired by the commander's courage, pressed forward, his hands steady on his weapon. Together they formed a small but powerful unit, amplified by Kale's leadership and the armor's energy. Kale felt the memories of the 40 warriors again, flashing briefly in his mind. He saw where they had failed, moments of hesitation, fear, and indecision. He understood that the armor had taught him to avoid those mistakes, to fight with both wisdom and courage. It was not just strength that mattered. It was the heart and mind behind it. The aliens were formidable. They adapted quickly, coordinating their attacks to try and overwhelm Kyle. A group of warriors moved to flank him, their weapons glowing brighter, their steps faster. Kale felt the armor's pulse and adjusted instantly, anticipating their movements. With a swift leap, he intercepted their attack, using the armor's energy to create a force wave that knocked them off balance. The soldiers watched in awe. "He's unstoppable," Joran shouted, barely keeping pace with the chaos. Kale knew better. The armor was powerful, yes, but it had limits. Overuse could drain his strength, and one mistake could be fatal. He had to fight wisely, guiding his team while conserving energy for the larger threat that loomed ahead. Above the battlefield, alien ships fired beams that tore through streets and buildings. Kale raised his arm, and the armor generated a protective dome shielding the humans below. The aliens recoiled, unprepared for such an advanced defense. The armor's whispers advised, "Push forward, my lord. Inspire them." Kyle shouted commands, his voice carrying over the noise of battle. The soldiers followed, moving with precision, coordinated as never before. The alien forces began to falter, their confidence shaken by the humans' unexpected skill and unity. In the chaos, Kale sensed something deeper. The armor's energy revealed the aliens' strategy. They were not merely attacking. They were testing the humans, probing weaknesses, searching for patterns. Kale realized that the only way to survive was to be unpredictable, to fight with intelligence and adaptability. He moved swiftly, striking at the aliens' command units, disrupting their coordination. The armor guided him, enhancing his vision, reflexes, and strength. He fought not only with his body, but with strategy, understanding the battlefield in a way no ordinary human could. The aliens regrouped, bringing reinforcements that dwarfed the first wave. Massive war machines emerged, firing energy cannons that shook the ground. Kyle raised his arms, channeling the armor's power to create a protective shield that absorbed the blasts. Sparks and debris flew, but the humans behind the shield remained safe. Rena and Mara moved forward, targeting weak points in the alien formation. Joran provided covering fire, his confidence growing with each successful shot. Together, guided by Kale and the armor, they formed a coordinated force capable of holding back the overwhelming enemy. Kale felt the whispers grow more insistent, urging him to push further. "The true test begins, my lord. Show them the strength of humanity." He leaped toward the largest war machine, the armor's energy flowing through him. With a powerful strike, he disabled one of its legs, sending it crashing into the ruins. The remaining machines hesitated, surprised by the humans' audacity and the armor's might. The soldiers cheered, their spirits lifted. Kale knew, however, that this was only the beginning. The aliens were clever and relentless. More challenges would come, each more dangerous than the last. But for the first time in generations, humanity had hope. As the battle continued, Kale felt the armor guiding him deeper, showing him the path to victory. It was teaching him not just to fight, but to inspire. Every move, every decision, every strike was a lesson in courage, strategy, and leadership. The aliens, realizing their strategy was failing, began a full retreat. The humans pressed forward, driving them back with a combination of skill, courage, and the armor's power. The battlefield fell silent once more, the ruins echoing with the sounds of victory. Kale stood among the soldiers, his armor glowing faintly, humming with energy. He had survived the first major battle, but he knew it was only the beginning. The aliens would return stronger and more determined. Yet humanity had something they could not match: courage, ingenuity, and the will to rise against impossible odds. Rena approached him, her face marked with soot and sweat, but her eyes shining with admiration. "Commander, that was incredible. How did you—" Kyle smiled faintly, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of the enemy. "It was not me alone. The armor guides, but it also tests. It teaches, and we fight together. Humanity has always risen in the darkest hours. This armor is a tool, a weapon, and a teacher, and now it has chosen to fight with us." Mara placed a hand on Kale's shoulder. Do you think we can really win against them?" Kale's gaze hardened, filled with determination. "We must. Humanity has survived because we adapt, because we endure, and because we have courage. The aliens underestimate us. They think power alone can win. But courage, intelligence, and unity, those are the true strengths of humanity." The whispers of the armor softened, almost in approval. "Well done, my lord. But the path ahead is long. Greater challenges await." Kale looked at his soldiers, at the ruins around them, and at the horizon where alien reinforcements could appear at any moment. He knew the battles ahead would be even more dangerous, demanding more courage, strength, and wisdom. But he also knew this: humanity would not fall. Not while he wore the armor, not while they stood together. As the sun rose higher, casting light over the battlefield, Kale lifted his arm, feeling the energy of the armor flow through him. The whispers spoke once more. "Rise, my lord. The true test awaits. Lead them, and humanity will follow." Kale took a deep breath, readying himself for the next challenge. The first major battle had been won, but the war was far from over. And with the armor at his side, he knew that humanity's courage could face any threat, no matter how powerful. The armor pulsed softly, as if alive, acknowledging its master. Kale whispered, "Together, we rise." And with that, he led his soldiers into the city's heart, ready to face the next wave of the alien threat, fully aware that the awakening of the armor had only just begun. The air was thick with smoke and dust as Commander Kale and his soldiers advanced toward the alien citadel. The city lay in ruins behind them, a reminder of the destruction the aliens had already caused. Yet humanity had survived, and Kale's presence, armored in the legendary blackened suit, inspired courage in every human heart. The whispers of the armor guided him steadily, teaching him, reminding him of every lesson from the past. "This is it," Kale said, his voice calm but firm. "The Citadel holds the alien command. If we defeat them here, we cripple their entire invasion. Stay sharp and trust each other." Rena nodded, checking her weapon. "We're ready, Commander. We've learned from the battles before. We can do this." The alien citadel loomed ahead, a massive fortress of strange metal and jagged towers. Its surface pulsed with alien energy, dark and threatening. As Kyle approached, the whispers in the armor grew more intense. "The true challenge begins here, my lord. The past warriors failed, but you will not." Kale inhaled deeply, feeling the armor's energy flow through him. His body was strong, faster, and sharper than ever. But more than strength, the armor gave him clarity. He could anticipate enemy movements, detect weaknesses, and guide his soldiers through even the deadliest attacks. He knew the aliens would use every trick, every weapon, every tactic to stop him. The gates of the citadel opened with a deep rumble. From within, towering alien soldiers emerged, each more massive and terrifying than the ones Kale had fought before. Their eyes glowed with intelligence and malice, and their energy weapons hummed with deadly power. Yet Kale did not hesitate. "Move forward," he commanded. "We fight for humanity." The soldiers followed him into the citadel, their courage strengthened by Kale's presence. Mara covered their flank, while Joran and others coordinated attacks on the aliens' weak points. The armor pulsed with every strike Kale made, every dodge he performed, as if it were alive and sharing its knowledge with him. The battle was relentless. Alien energy beams cut through the air, scorching walls and ground. Kale deflected them with the armor's energy shield, striking back with waves of power that knocked the enemy off balance. Each move was precise, guided by the whispers that had become his ally. But the true test awaited. At the heart of the citadel, the alien commander revealed itself, a massive armored being radiating dark energy. Its presence alone shook the ground, and Kale could feel the armor's power responding, warning him of the threat. "This is it," Kale said quietly, focusing. "The final battle begins." The alien commander charged, faster and stronger than anything Kale had faced. Its energy blasts were more powerful, its strikes more precise. The battlefield shook as they clashed, metal and energy colliding with deafening force. Kale dodged, countered, and struck, relying on the armor's guidance and his own instincts. The whispers reminded him of the 40 warriors who had failed before. Their mistakes flashed in his mind: hesitation, fear, and lack of focus. Kale drew strength from their memories, learning from them, avoiding the same pitfalls. The armor pulsed with energy, responding to his resolve and courage. "Push forward," he shouted to his soldiers. "We are humanity. We do not fall." The humans rallied, striking at the alien forces with renewed determination. The armor amplified Kale's commands, his movements, and even his presence, inspiring the soldiers to fight with unmatched courage. They moved as one, a single force guided by Kale's leadership and the armor's power. The alien commander roared, unleashing a massive energy attack that tore through the citadel's halls. Kale raised his arm, forming a protective dome with the armor. The energy collided with the shield, shaking the walls, sending debris flying. But the humans were safe. The armor's power flowed through Kale, balancing strength with strategy, energy with control. Kale knew the key to victory was not brute force. He needed to outthink the alien commander, anticipate its moves, and strike at the right moment. The whispers guided him. "Patience, my lord. Wait for the opening." The past warriors rushed. "Do not." Minutes stretched like hours. Kale dodged, blocked, and countered, gradually wearing down the alien commander. He observed patterns in its attacks, predicted its strikes, and coordinated with his soldiers to exploit every weakness. The armor enhanced his perception, making him faster and sharper, but it also demanded focus. One lapse could be fatal. Finally, the moment came. The alien commander overextended in an attack, leaving a gap in its defense. Kale acted instantly, channeling all the armor's energy into a single, precise strike. A wave of power erupted, shattering the commander's armor and sending it crashing to the ground. The alien forces faltered, confused and disoriented by the sudden loss of their leader. Kale seized the opportunity, leading a coordinated attack with his soldiers. Together, they struck down the remaining aliens, clearing the citadel and securing victory. The battlefield fell silent, filled only with the hum of the armor and the soldiers' heavy breathing. Kale removed his helmet briefly, feeling the weight of the moment. The armor had guided him, taught him, and empowered him, but it had also demanded courage, patience, and wisdom. He had survived where 40 warriors before him had failed, not because of strength alone, but because he had trusted himself, the armor, and humanity. Rena and Mara approached, their faces filled with relief and awe. "Commander, you did it," Rena said softly. "We actually did it." Kale nodded, his gaze sweeping across the citadel. "Yes, but this is not just my victory. It is humanity's. The armor chose me because I fight for more than myself. It is a tool, yes, but it is also a test. And together we passed it." Joran stepped forward, eyes wide. "What now, Commander? What happens to the armor?" Kale looked at the blackened suit, now pulsing faintly and almost calm, as if it were alive and satisfied. "The armor will rest for now. Its duty is not to rule or to dominate. It is to guide, to protect, and to choose those worthy of its power. But humanity has proven that courage, unity, and determination are stronger than any weapon the aliens can wield." The soldiers stood taller, their spirits lifted by the words and by the example of Kale. They had fought, survived, and triumphed against overwhelming odds, and now they knew that humanity could rise even in the darkest times. Kale turned to the horizon, where the alien forces had retreated. He knew they would return, but humanity had something they could not understand. resilience, intelligence, and an unwavering will to endure. The armor had chosen well, and so had he. As the sun set, casting a golden light across the citadel, Cale addressed his soldiers. "We have won today, but the war is far from over. We must rebuild, prepare, and remain vigilant. Humanity has survived because we fight together, because we adapt, and because we do not surrender to fear. The armor has shown us our potential, but it is our courage, determination, and unity that will ensure our survival." The whispers of the armor softened, almost content now. "Well done, my lord." The legacy continues. Humanity will rise because you have shown them the way. Kyle placed his hand on the armor's chest plate, feeling the energy hum beneath his palm. "We will rise," he whispered. "Not because of power alone, but because of courage, heart, and will. Humanity will endure." The soldiers gathered around him, their eyes bright with hope. For the first time in generations, they saw not only a leader, but a symbol, a reminder that even in the face of impossible odds, humanity could triumph. The alien citadel lay in ruins, its defenders defeated, but Cale knew the war was not finished. The armor had prepared him for the future, for challenges greater than any single battle. And with it he would lead humanity to rise stronger than ever. As night fell, Cale stood atop the highest tower of the citadel, gazing at the stars above. The whispers of the armor were faint now, almost like a gentle voice. "Rest, my lord. The future is ahead. Humanity will rise because of you." Cale closed his eyes briefly, letting the armor's energy flow through him. He had faced the impossible, mastered the power of the armor, and inspired humanity to stand united. The legacy of the 40 warriors who had failed before him was finally complete. Their lessons had guided him, their memories had strengthened him, and together, they had ensured that humanity's courage would shine through even in the darkest times. Rising again, Cale turned to his soldiers. "We fight not for power, not for glory, but for survival and hope. Humanity will rise and we will endure. The armor has chosen me, but the future belongs to all of us. Remember this moment. Remember your courage. And never forget, humanity can overcome any challenge." The soldiers cheered, their voices echoing through the ruins, a sound of triumph, hope, and unity. Cale's armor glowed faintly in response, as if acknowledging the strength and spirit of the humans it had guided. The war was far from over, but the first step had been taken. Humanity had survived, led by a hero chosen by legend itself. And as Commander Cale looked to the horizon, he knew one thing for certain. Humanity would rise, stronger, braver, and more united than ever before. The whispers of the armor faded into silence, content and patient, ready for the day when it would again guide a human worthy of its power. For now, the legacy was secure, and the story of courage, resilience, and humanity's rise would be told for generations. And in that moment, Commander Cale knew that humanity had truly returned to its place among the stars, strong, brave, and unbroken.